Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Tutelage, a guide to learner. Here, this is Sriparna. I hope all of you are doing good. So, in my last session, we have already discussed one of the most important chapter of economics, that is structural changes in Indian economy, and it includes three important policy measures, that is liberalization policy, globalization, and privatization. And we had very well discussed all topics in my last two or three sessions. Okay, so if you have missed my previous sessions, so please go and check it once. I think these sessions will be a really helpful sessions to everyone. So today we are going to explain another important chapter of economics, that is employment and unemployment in India and its problems and policies. So learner, going to the next slide, and where we can see what I will discuss today. So here we can see our topics basically. So first one is definition of employment. Just a minute learner, just change the color, okay, because both color are same. So the first topic, that is definition of employment, the second topic, that is types of employment, and the last topic, that is unemployment, its meaning and its types. So basically it is a first session on this chapter. Okay, so now going to the main discussion and move on to the next slide also. So here we can see our first topic, that is definition of employment, and before going to the definition, we need to discuss some idea about employment and unemployment, and what are the basic condition of employment and unemployment in the from the previous years. Okay, so, the Indian economy has witnessed a significant development in recent years, particularly since 1981, and production has increased in all the sectors of the economy. As a consequence, the absolute level of employment has also increased. So, at the same time, unemployment level in absolute terms has also increased, since the increase in labor force has been more than the number of jobs created, and that's why employment and unemployment both are very very important concept in economics also. So now going to the meaning of employment. So basically employment indicates the state of having a job or being employed. Okay, so basically, employment is the state of having a job. Clear? What do you mean by employment? So now going to the definition, that is employment is an agreement between an employer and employee that the employee will provide certain service. So that means if one has to employ someone, so at first we have to know, we all know that employment is an agreement between employer and employee. So that's why we have to know what do you mean by a employer and what do you mean by a employee. So if one has to employ someone and they have to pay them, so the person who employs, which is known as employer. So the person who employs is known as employer, and one who is getting paid for providing service is called employee. I think this is clear what is employer and what is employee. Okay, so the one who employs is called employer, and one who is getting paid for providing service is called employee. And employment is an agreement between employer and employee. So that's why we can say employment refers to the occupations in which people work for others and get remunerated in return also. I think the meaning of employment and the definition of employment is clear to everyone. So if you have any problem, so please do comment in my comment section. I will reply you. So now going to the next concept, that is types of employment. Okay, so before going to the next topic, we will discuss some word from employment trends. Okay, so what is the trends of employment in Indian economy? So the growth experience of Indian economy in recent years reveals that economic growth in the economy has not led to generation of large employment. There was a sharp decrease rate of employment generation during the mid 90s as compared to the decade of 1980s and early 90s. So the growth rate of employment declined much more in rural sector than in the urban sector and during the same period. So and here we can see the types of employment is of two types. The first one is rural employment and the second one is urban employment. Okay, so now going to the uh, basic now going to the what is the basic idea about rural employment. Okay, so now going to the next slide. So here this is the basic meaning of rural employment, and here we can see rural employment covers any activity, occupation, work, business or service performed in the rural areas for remuneration, profit, social or family gain in cash or in kind. So basically rural employment applies to waged and salaried workers as well as self employed workers, including family workers, in rural areas only, not in the urban area. So rural area basically indicate that those area, those people, rural employment is basically related to those people which are not within the urban area. Okay, so I think this is clear what is the basic meaning of rural employment, and 100 days of wage employment is one of the most important features of rural employment also. Now going to the next slide, and where we can see the basic meaning of urban employment. Okay, so, urban employment aims at enhancing the livelihood security of people in urban areas by guaranteeing 100 days of wage employment in a financial year. So, rural employment aims at enhancing the livelihood security of people in rural areas. So, rural employment is related to the rural areas, and urban employment aims at enhancing the livelihood security of people in urban areas. So it is related with the urban areas. That is the basic difference between rural employment and urban employment. I think this is clear. And what do you mean by a employment, which is also clear to everyone. So now going to the next concept. Just forgot to mention another types of employment, and that is organized. So, learner, just forgot to mention another type of employment. So, another one is employment is of two types. Okay, so the first one is formal or organized employment, and another one is informal or unorganized employment. So at first we have to discuss what do you mean by a formal or organized employment. Okay, so at first we have to know what do you mean by a organized or formal sector. So the organized sector covers all those enterprises where the terms of employment are regular and the people working there enjoy job security, and these enterprises are registered by the government, and they adhere to various rules and regulations regarding wages and working conditions. So the organized sector comprises the manufacturing sector except small scale industries. It includes electricity, transport, financial services, and government service. Okay, so now going to the, and those people are the related with the organized sector, so which is called the organized or formal employment. And now going to the another type of employment, that is informal or unorganized sector employment. So at first we have to know what do you mean by a informal sector. Okay, informal or unorganized employment, or so the unorganized sector comprises comprises some enterprises where there are no regular terms of employment and there is no job security. The unorganized sector consists of the whole of the agriculture and the small scale industries and most of mining, construction, trade, small and transport units, and social and personal services. So I think this is clear, and those people is related with the unorganized sector. So this is called informal or unorganized employment. So I think this is clear. What do you mean by a formal or organized employment and what is called informal or unorganized employment? So now going to the main concept, main next concept, that is unemployment. Okay, so now going to the next slide. Another most important word, that is unemployment in this session. Okay, so we all know that unemployment problem is one of the most serious and menacing problems facing the developed as well as the developing countries of the world, though with the different degrees of intensity also. Okay, so in view of this, the reduction of unemployment is regarded as the primary objective of economic policy. In India, also, the employment situation is quite unsatisfactory. A very large number of persons are unemployed, quite a large number, though educated, remain unemployed. So that's why we all know that unemployment is one of the most important and most crucious in our life. Okay, most serious also. So now going to the basic meaning of employment, and we sorry unemployment, and we all know that employment basically indicates the state of being employed, the state of having a job. And unemployment, on the other side, unemployment indicates the state of being unemployed. So that is the basic difference between employment and unemployment. So unemployment indicates the state of being unemployed, and employment indicates the state of being unemployed. I think this is clear. So now move on to the next thing, that is the definition, basically meaning of the unemployment. So unemployment is the condition of one who is capable of working, actively seeking work, but unable to find any work. Okay, so, in common sense, the term unemployment denotes a situation when a person is not gainfully employed in a productive activity, thereby doesn't work or earn. But unemployment, in real sense of the term, is not as comprehensive as conveyed by the ordinary sense. So, unemployment basically the condition of one who is capable of working but unable to find any kind of work. That is clear to everyone. So now going to the next slide, and where we can see the types of unemployment, and we can see here there are two types of unemployment. The first one is rural unemployment. Sorry, and another one is urban unemployment. So we all know that what do you mean by unemployment? So rural people is basically related to the that kind of unemployment is called the rural unemployment, and the urban people is related with the that kind of unemployment which is known as urban unemployment, and that is the basic difference between rural and urban unemployment. Okay, so I think this is very clear to everyone. So now going to the another type of unemployment, that is voluntary unemployment and involuntary unemployment. So at first we have to know what do you mean by a voluntary uh, unemployment. So the first thing, that is voluntary, sorry, voluntary unemployment. So voluntary unemployment refers to those persons who are voluntarily unemployed. That means unemployed by their choice. They may not work due to laziness or otherwise, and they are not interested in any gainful job. So they are unemployed not out of compulsion but due to their choice. So that's why those person is called voluntary unemployment. And on the other hand, we can see another type of unemployment, that is involuntary. So what do you mean by involuntary unemployment, learner? So involuntary unemployment uh, refers to a situation when people are willing to work at the prevailing wage rate but are unable to find work. So I think this is clear what is uh, voluntary and involuntary. So voluntary basically related to those unemployed by their choice, but involuntary unemployment is related not it is not related uh, with the unemployed by their choice. Okay, because involuntary unemployment uh, basically refers a situation when the person is without work involuntary. Okay, not by their by his or her choice. Okay, so I think this is clear. So involuntary unemployment refers to a situation when when people are willing to work at prevailing wage rate but they are unable to find any kind of work. So those people is known as involuntary unemployment. So I think this is clear. Rural unemployment, urban unemployment, voluntary and involuntary unemployment. So now going to the next slide, and here we can see another most important types of unemployment, and which is really important to everyone. So first one is educated and technological unemployment. Second one is seasonal and open unemployment. Third one is disguised unemployment. Fourth one is structural unemployment. And the fifth one, that is cyclical unemployment. Okay, so in my next session, we will discuss uh, all types of unemployment. Okay, so learner, we are done for the today's session. If you like my session, do one like, comment and share with your near ones. Please do subscribe to my channel. Your comments are one of the most important key to motivate me or us. So please stay with me. Thank you. Keep commenting. Happy learning.